right. Good morning. Thank you for being here, Eduardo.
Good morning, and good morning to everybody.
So, Eduardo, we have chatted, we've talked a lot about AI. We've talked about that this morning. We talked about it yesterday on day one at Partner Forum. But perhaps no company has been at the forefront of ushering in AI and Gen AI than Microsoft. Do you want to share Microsoft's vision for AI transformation and what it means to this audience here?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having us. This is such an incredible partnership, and we're so grateful for everything we've achieved together. Starting with the whole Microsoft vision is pretty big, but essentially, we've been in front of this because we've been doing AI for many years. And when our partnership started with OpenAI, we were incredibly successful at making it tangible, making it feasible, making it workable for you and your environments. In other words, approaching the complexity of AI to you versus trying to make you embrace the complexity of AI. If you think about it, what happened about, 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, was AI was really hard to do. It was incredibly hard to get the hardware. It was incredibly hard to generate the models, to train them, to get the data, to make the application. So anybody who was doing AI, it was super hard and expensive on them. And I don't mean expensive just on money. I mean on effort, on the data scientists needed, on the whole. And ChatGPT really made it accessible. And that was the breaking moment, the aha moment that made everything possible. And what we've been trying to do as a strategy is exactly that, is bring all this incredible technology. But AI is not just Gen AI. And we're overly obsessed, sorry for being so candid and direct in the market, by only talking about Gen AI. Because no single AI application or analytics application just consumes Gen AI. They truly consume the larger ecosystem of analytics, of data, of AI and Gen AI. And that is what this partnership is all about.
We talk almost sometimes blithely about AI transformation, so I'm very glad that you said that this is hard. Now, we were chatting backstage and you mentioned, Eduardo, that your direct team, the team that you manage, has actually built more than 500 enterprise-grade AI solutions for some of the world's largest high-tech firms. Given that it's hard, how have you addressed that? How have you solved for that?
So let me put some context to that. The team that I lead of incredibly brilliant data scientists, cloud engineers, software developers, et cetera, have helped companies like Teradata build their solutions. Example, Ask.ai, the connector that we're going to talk about with Fabric, et cetera. Among solutions like this, we've helped companies like eBay and DocuSign and Adobe and Epic and Amadeus, and you've heard of a lot of these. And so it's incredible what the innovation that we've driven. But we have found that AI pretty much faces 5 roadblocks. Now, I'm going to start with a little bit of a pun, right? So stay with me. What everybody says, and they could be correct, I disagree, but here goes, is that the first thing that blocks AI from being successful is privacy. And we would all nod our heads, right? We would say, yeah, privacy is a big one. And then the second one is security and compliance, right? You want to be secure and compliant. And this one is actually I want to go back to this one. This is a really big one because if you cannot access a file by browsing to it or by searching on it or by throwing a query at it, then a co-pilot should not be able, or an agent, should not be able to address it, right? Should access it with your persona. So that's what I mean by security as well, as access. And then, God forbid you're incredibly successful, and that was a pun, then you're going to get the performance problem, right? Because if you scale this to 1,000 concurrent users or 1 million concurrent users, like some of these solutions do, how are you going to do performance management on Gen AI? Few people have actually achieved that and done it. And the last one is cost. None of us have, or I would love for anybody to raise their hand, and please don't, who had in their budget 2 years ago AI as a line item, because nobody did, right? And so if you look at this you would say those are the biggest blockers. But that's not really true. I'll tell you which is the biggest blocker, the thing that kills AI first and more than anything else, and the biggest problem that it has. It's accuracy/relevancy. Let me explain myself. If you ask a question of an AI system, or you ask to do a task, and it doesn't do what you want it to do, or it responds incorrectly, would you use it again? You see my point? So if the car doesn't run, then what do you care if it has a seat belt? And I'm not being facetious, I'm just trying to say the first problem that we need to address 100% of the time is accuracy and relevancy, and that comes from the data. And then all the other four. And none of them are less important. I'm not trying to say that you would stack rank them. I was just trying to say that a new problem that we never faced before is accuracy and relevancy. And that is a super key important problem that we need to face with AI that other systems just did not face that much.
I'm going to make this a little bit pointy, Eduardo. Those blockers, those issues that you talked about, why address them with Teradata? Why Teradata and Microsoft together?
That is an incredibly good question, because if we try to just talk a little bit beyond this stage and this event, I think that's a critical question that any of you should ask, right? Like, why do it this way versus that way? What is the easy path to do this for me? And I'd like to break it down into three very simple answers. The first one is because we have integrated the platforms incredibly well. So it is super important that you realize the value of your data where it exists. Is that fair? Would you agree with me? Having to transform data over and over and over becomes insanely expensive. And when I say expensive, I don't just mean cost. I mean effort. I mean having to normalize data, annotate data, make it different formats, and then addressing the security for access and the compliance and the reporting are very hard problems. So you making it more complex because you want to provide more service makes it so that the use cases that break these barriers are very few. In other words, there are very few reasons why you would say I would go through all that effort, right? But what would happen if we can meet you where your data is? And that's why this partnership is so strong. Because you can have your data in one of the most performant and safest stores that are out there, which is Teradata. Access it through systems like Ask.ai and converse with it. And that is so insanely powerful, and I urge you, try it. Don't think about it. Don't go and build a huge plan on it. Do an experiment. That's how AI works. AI works by you trying 7 things, failing 6 times, and finding that one that is incredible. But it's a try fast, fail fast moment. It's a stop trying to over-engineer everything. It's a try to go do small experiments, and you're like, wow, look at this one. This one is not only feasible, doable, obtainable, and cost-friendly, it's accurate, and it's highly valuable. The third thing is, with the connector that we built through Fabric, you unlock the incredible platform that you have on the Azure side, the incredible platform that you have in Copilot, the incredible platform you have with M365, in other words, Office, and the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, I'm sorry to say this because you're going to think I'm self-serving, but I'm not. A lot of people just want to stay in Excel, or they just want to stay in Outlook. Now, I'm not trying to say that as a brand. Think about it. You're in a Word document and you want to extract some data for your report. You don't want to go to 30 systems, log into I don't know what, learn 3 things, ask for a report, and then maybe get the data, and then it wasn't exactly accurate, and it took you again to just, you don't want to do that. You just want to ask the right questions, manipulate, and get the data. That's where this becomes such an incredible partnership. And last but not least, you don't compromise on security. You don't compromise on access. You don't compromise on performance. And you don't have to migrate the data to other platforms. That story, I hope, is incredibly compelling for you to go try it.
Thank you, Eduardo. I'm very glad that this is being recorded because that was a terrific answer. And the list of integrations which you touched upon, that's not the complete list just yet, because we will also be integrating with Azure Data Factory and Fabric Data Factory that allows for seamless movement of data. Now, we have more than 100 customers running Teradata Vantage on Azure. One of the examples that I think is probably relevant to this audience is American Airlines, that runs more than 4 million queries per day, processes about 170 terabytes of data. They're optimizing their flight patterns, they're reducing their carbon footprint, and they're running a full range of mission-critical workloads vantage on Azure. But I want to go back to the 500 solutions you talked about, Eduardo, for a moment. What are some of the biggest use cases that you see happening in the market today?
So I'm going to answer in a non-standard way. Let me tell you how I go address when one of these my team works with some of the largest high-tech companies in the world. And I've had to be a little bit stingy on when I work with who and how do I work with them. And so I've applied a filter. Now, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but it's worked well so far, apparently. And so I'll tell you what the filter is. And I hope it really serves you well. And then I'll go into the use cases. The filter is, I won't let the team work on anything that doesn't have an insanely clear return on investment. So if the board or the CEO or the end customer will not be insanely delighted by building this solution, I will not touch it. And so what happens is we get companies like Teradata or anybody else saying, hey, I have this 50 use cases. And we come back and we say, okay, reduce them to 15. And then we say, reduce them to 10, reduce them to 5. And we say, okay, out of the 5, now apply the next filter, right? So which are the most impactful? Now, which is the next filter? Feasible. Now, I love everybody that came before me on stage and respect them, but some of this stuff is really hard. I'm not going to simplify it for you. AI is not for the uninitiated, was the kindest word I could find today. And so you don't want to go into the dark sciences of this thing. So we try to remain within what's buildable, what's on the truck, what's feasible, what you can go do without having to do triple somersaults and backflips. And so when you build one, why did I say do something that's feasible, highly impactful? Because then you go to the chief information officer and that horrible person says, no, you're blocked. And you say, yeah, but the board said that I want to do this. I said, okay, let's find a way. Underline this, let's find a way. And then you go to purchasing and they're like, we don't have an agreement with that company. And you're like, let's find a way. And then you go to the data officer and then you see my point, then you go to production and then you go, all these teams, and they're all bound by this, let's find a way. Once you get one through the door, once you get one through the whole process, what ends up happening is that people figure out that there are aspects of this that are new, are different, are scary, need to be addressed, but most of it isn't. Most of it is we got it. We know how to build applications. It's just we forgot that what the media is not telling us is that these are intelligent applications. At the end of the day, they're applications. You got applications. You know how to build applications. You know how to operate them. You know how to release them. You know how to manage them. The problem is that they move a lot faster. Now, let's get back to that in a second. To the use cases in 2 seconds, usually they are something that touch the customer first. Second is things that generate content. Third is things that generate code. Fourth is things that are internal processes. And 5 are things that are compliance and legal. Did I say that any of these, like number 1, is most common? Yes. Did I say it's more important? No. So we've done all of them. It's just we've done less of the legal compliance because there's fewer companies that come in and say, that is my top use case, and it's feasible. You see my filters. But we'll do any of these. And my advice to you is try one, push it through the whole pipeline, get it to the end, release it to production, make everybody understand how this is doable, feasible, operatable. Look, I always make the same joke. You don't want to go to this side of the pendulum, which is where a robot is going to come and kill you at night, right? And you don't want to go to this end of the spectrum where AI is cute but unusable or not valuable. There's something in the middle where all of us can meet that is valuable, insanely impactful, operationally viable, cost viable, performance viable. You see my point? There's somewhere in the middle where this makes a tremendous difference for you and your end users and your end customers. So stop focusing on the edges. Let's be honest, that's just for being fatalistic. The middle is a place where we're all valuable.
What matters is what works, I think, is what we heard yesterday. I know many people in this audience are probably itching to get on their AI journey, and I think that input, Eduardo, today is going to be very useful. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the big champion of the Microsoft Teradata partnership that you are. And I'm very excited for what's ahead.
Super grateful. Have a wonderful conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you.